to Yoga for Resilience, twisting today. My name's Angie, and let's get started. Couple things before we start our practice. First thing is, anything that I say today is really just a suggestion. Make this be your practice. I give lots of suggestions, lots of options. Explore. If something doesn't feel good, definitely ease back. Find a variation that does feel good in your body, and or completely do another movement, even if it's something I'm not cueing. But finding that ability to tap into what it is that your body needs right now. And so with that, let's get started. We are going to start today seated. And for practice today, I definitely recommend a blanket, a pillow, a towel, something like that, just to help lift the hips a little bit. We're going to start seated. And so coming down to a seat, whatever is a comfortable seat for you. Maybe it's sitting on the blanket. Maybe it's legs crisscross, applesauce. Maybe it's legs out to the side. If sitting isn't comfortable, feel free to start standing. And if you're seated, the reason I recommend the blanket is because as we sit for any length of time, our back starts to round and it starts to collapse into the low back. So if we're seated up on a blanket, that actually helps to align our pelvis a little bit more so it's in a more neutral alignment, decreasing some of the stress and the strain on the low back. So, coming to a comfortable seat. Once again, it's legs crisscross, applesauce. Maybe it's legs out to the side. But whatever variation you're doing, reach down and actually manually pull out any fleshy bits that you might be sitting on. And then kind of shake your hips a little bit side to side, trying to tap into those two bony parts that we have, our sitting bones, pressing into the mat. Maybe rolling your shoulders up and down and back, starting to warm up. Maybe rolling your shoulders back to forward. Hands can be on your thighs. Maybe you want to try rubbing. Maybe you just want to have your palms face up. Maybe face down. So just exploring. Is there some sort of movement, some sort of way that you can be that'll help your body to relax? My body wants to get a little bit of a sway going. A sway is definitely very calming to my nervous system. So just checking in, notice, does movement feel better? Does being still feel better? Then maybe start to notice your surroundings. Since we're close to the ground, maybe run your hands along your mat or your towel, your floor. Notice the difference in textures between a rubber mat versus a towel versus the carpet. Maybe notice what the texture of your clothes is like versus the texture of your skin. Maybe even notice what the texture of your hair feels like. And then if it's comfortable, maybe start checking in with what's going on internally. Notice what's coming up for you, not trying to change it, but just working to accept whatever it is. So today's practice is going to be focused on twists. And I love twisting. I enjoy it. There's a lot of health benefits to it. Twisting actually can physically wring out things that we're holding on to, tension, stress, especially in our neck, our spine, our shoulders. Twisting poses can also actually help push all the air out of the lungs, or push some of that air that we have a hard time getting out, cleaning it out, getting new fresh air coming in. So really helping to keep the lungs moving. Twisting also really can help move our digestive system along. So there's a lot of physical benefits that come with twisting, and then mentally, twisting can help us to let go of things. It can help us to look at things from a different perspective, to navigate twists and turns a little bit better because we're a little more prepared for it. So So if it feels good today, I invite you to be the intention of your practice to explore the beauty of twisting. And if that doesn't feel good, then as always, set whatever intention does feel good. Beautiful. And then hands coming to the sides of your legs, especially if they're crisscross applesauce. And then bringing your legs out in front, shake it out. Perfect. Now bringing the legs back in, switch the crossing of your legs. We all, or most of us, have one way that feels more natural, one way that feels more unnatural. So switch to whichever crossing you weren't just doing, or whichever one feels more unnatural. Once again, reach down, pulling out any of those fleshy bits, and then just kind of shift your hips a little bit. See if you can feel those two bony spots pressing down into the blanket, the ground, wherever you're seated. If you're standing, so finding that press of the feet into the ground. Then we're going to start with just some gentle twisting. So walking the right hand off to the left leg, left hand walks behind, rotating open. Keep the press of both sitting bones even. We're trying to rotate just from the torso. Gaze can stay forward or can look out over that left arm. And then coming back to center, walking the arms around. So now the left arm goes to the right leg, right arm goes behind. Checking in with the press of that left hip. Notice if it's shifted up. Try and press the left hip back down, rotating open. Notice if your shoulders are hiking. You can keep the shoulders even. And then options here. If you want to move with the breath, feel free to, as you inhale, lifting up, and then exhale, rotating open. Maybe hold in the exhale for just a minute and notice that if you exhale, that maybe you can twist a little bit further because the air is out of the lungs. If you're moving with the breath, inhaling, coming back to center, and then exhale, rotating off to the right side. Pressing down with that left hip. Moving through a couple more times if you want a little more activation. As you come to the center and maybe inhale, arms come up. And then rotating off to the left side. Maybe you want to go faster than me, so feel free. Arms coming up. If you're doing the arms up variation, rotating off to the right side. One more each side. Arms coming up. If they're moving up, as you exhale, if you're moving with breath, rotating off. Last time, coming back to center, and then rotating off to the right side. Beautiful. Arms coming back to center, chest neutral. Hands come to the sides of your legs. Legs come out to the side. Shake out your arms, shake out your legs. Beautiful. Spinning your knees around, we're going to come to tabletop. In tabletop, a lot of times people like to have some extra padding underneath their knees. So if you have any knee issues, definitely try adding some padding to it. See if that helps. In tabletop, working to stack hips over your knees. Shoulders stacking over your wrist, unless that puts a big strain in your wrist. In which case, walking your hands out a little bit more until you don't get that big strain in your wrist. Moving through a couple cat-cows just to warm the back up a little bit. Inhale, chest draws through, shoulder blades draw together, tailbone arches. Engage into the pelvis, so see if you can draw your belly back to the spine. And then exhale, press into your feet, press into your hands, rounding your back out. Can you find each single vertebrae or bone in your back pushing out? Inhale, one more time, drawing the chest through, shoulder blades draw together. Exhale, pressing the back out, rounding out. Beautiful. Come back to center. Shake it out. We're now going to do a side cat-cow, so starting to work into some of that twisting to engage into the side muscles. bringing the right hip towards the right shoulder, coming into a bit of a contraction here in this right side. Gaze can look to the right, and then moving off, contracting the left hip, left shoulder. So finding this big contraction in the side, right hip, right shoulder. Left hip, left shoulder. Notice if you're rotating your back or you're twisting. See if you can keep it straight as you move from side to side. The left side. One more to the right side, contracting into that. Right oblique, right side abdominals. And then left side contracting. Beautiful. Coming back to center, shake it out. Coming back into child's pose. In child's pose, big toes touch, pressing your hips back over your heels, sinking back. Child's pose isn't comfortable for everybody, so if you need, grab some blocks, putting some blocks in, some props, or even if it's not comfortable, sitting up on your knees, shaking it out. Beautiful. And then when you're ready, walking your hands back out, toes curling under, lifting your hips, coming up into your downward facing dog. Beautiful. It's our first down dog, so bend your knees, maybe start shifting your hips out. Maybe try exploring with your feet. Try walking your feet out towards the wide edge of your mat, and then maybe bringing them a little more narrow. Maybe you want to explore with your hands, so maybe hands coming out wide, and then walk your hands back so that they're about shoulder width distance apart. Last thing to worry about is how straight your legs are, or if your heels are on the ground. In fact, bend your knees. Imagine that someone's pulling you back by your hips, trying to lift you up towards that back corner between the ceiling and the wall. Neck long, maybe shake your head no, shake your head yes. And then when you're ready, dance, step, jump, hop, walk your feet up to your hands, coming into your forward fold. Uttanasana. So in Uttanasana or forward fold, same thing. Don't worry about how straight your legs are. In fact, a little bit of a bend can help you to tap into the muscles, your glute muscles and your low back muscles. So maybe slight bend in the knees. Maybe try lifting the heels up off the ground. Crown of the head coming to the ground, maybe holding onto your legs. Try lifting your toes up. Maybe shake your hips out. And then from here, if you want, walking off, trying to rotate. Crown of the head coming off to the right side, keeping the hips towards the center. And then if you want, rotating, trying to keep the hips at the center, walking off to the left side. If holding in forward fold is challenging for you, feel free to come up at any point slowly, especially if you have vertigo, glaucoma, things like that. If you're in forward fold, rounding out, maybe twisting one more time. And then coming back to the center, bending into your knees, keeping your legs parallel. Slowly roll up to standing. Head, neck, and shoulders being the last things to come up. And then feet come to a comfortable distance apart, palms out. Come to stand in Tadasana. Beautiful. Check in. Notice what's coming up for you. And then whatever it is, shake out your arms, shake out your legs, let it go. So moving your blanket, if you were using a blanket, setting it off to the side in case you want it later for Shavasana, bringing your feet coming into chair pose. Chair pose has lots of different variations depending on your knees, your hips, the mobility in your legs. So first option is feet coming as close together as you can, where you can feel like you keep your feet stable. So working to find all four corners. Maybe you want to bring your feet a little bit closer, hips width distance apart. Another option if you want is big toes touching, heels about an inch apart. This one is the most activating or the most strain on the knees. So definitely be careful with what works best for you. So finding that balance into our feet, maybe shifting a little bit side to side, can you feel the outer edge of the right foot, the inner edge of the left foot? And then switching sides, can you feel the inner edge of the right foot, the outer edge of the left foot? Now shift forward to back, seeing if you can find the ball of your foot versus the heel of your foot. Maybe lifting your toes up, wiggling your toes, and then shake it out. Beautiful. So coming down into chair. If your knees are apart, keep your legs parallel. Don't let your knees knock in together. If the big toes are touching, knees and thighs can touch, but if the feet are apart, keep the legs apart. Inhale, sink back, coming down into chair or Utkatasana. In chair pose, back is long, kind of like we were working into as we were seated. More of the weight comes into your heels. If you want, try lifting your toes up. Arms can come out in front, shoulders relaxing. Big thing is keeping the legs active, so not letting the knees knock in together if the legs are apart. And then from here, standing up, hands coming to heart center, shake it out. We're gonna do that again, but this time we're gonna add a twist into it. So when you're ready, sinking back into your chair, your Utkatasana. Working to keep legs parallel to each other, hands coming to your heart, and then taking your left hand to your left thigh, rotate your upper body, placing your right elbow on the thigh. If your legs are apart, if your legs are together, see if you can cross it over. And then bring your hands back to prayer. Rotating to bring the chest up to the hands. But look down at your legs. Notice if you've shifted or rotated. Gaze can be down or can be up. And then when you're ready, coming back to the center, standing straight up, arms coming out wide, legs coming out wide, shake it out. I call this dancing starfish. Let some of that tension go. Beautiful, and we're gonna do that this time to the right side. So I'm gonna change the variation on my feet. Feel free to do what you did last time. Feel free to change and try something different. So if maybe your big toes are touching, inhale as you sink down, coming into your chair. Hands coming to prayer, the center of your chest. Right hand comes to that right thigh. Just kind of helps to give a little bit of a fulcrum or a little bit of a stability point. And then bring your left elbow to wherever it can reach on that right thigh. Doesn't matter how far it can cross, it's more about keeping the hips neutral. Gaze can be down, double check, make sure your knees are parallel to each other, and then work to rotate the chest up into the hands. Gaze can be down at the ground or up at the sky. And when you're ready, coming back to center, untwisting, standing up. Arms and legs coming out into dancing starfish. Beautiful. And then heel toe your feet in together, maybe get a little dance, shake it out. Excellent. Stepping to the front of your mat. If flowing with breath works great for you, definitely flow with breath. If breath work doesn't work for you, feel free to skip it. So bending your knees, palms reaching out and touching up overhead. As you come down, either hands coming through heart center or swan dive, hands coming down into forward fold. Once again, kind of shaking it out, shake your hips. Bending your knees, this time trying to keep your torso straight. Can you rotate your pelvis side to side? Trying to work into some twisting. Beautiful, and then hands come down to the ground, stepping your right leg back, stepping your left leg back, coming into plank pose. Plank pose, knees can be up, knees can be down, whichever variation you want. Whichever variation you're doing, find the press into your hands, length through the low back. If your knees are down, can you find the balance between the big toe and the pinky toe side of your foot? If your feet are, or your knees are up, same thing, find the balance between the pinky and the big toe side of the foot. And then set the knees down, coming back either into child's pose or coming up to a seat on your knees if that's more comfortable for you. and stretch it out. If you're seated, maybe bringing your arms up overhead, coming into a bit of a stretch. Beautiful. And then hands coming down to the ground. And then options here. Coming up into downward facing dog. And from down dog, bringing your right leg up between your hands. If that doesn't work for you, come to down dog. Bring your knees down to tabletop. And then help your right leg come up between your hands. And then from here, start to walk this left knee back. We're gonna have the knee down in a low lunge. So definitely if you like to have a blanket underneath your knee, now's a great time to add that blanket underneath the knee. And then from here, walking the hands up to the thigh. Check in with your check in with your left leg. Make sure that the left foot, can you have that left foot pressing evenly into the big toe and the pinky toe side? Try and engage that leg so much you start to lift up on the left knee. The left knee might not come off the ground, totally fine, but notice how that might start to turn things on differently. And then pressing into your right foot, keeping the right hip active, bringing both arms out to the front. From here, left arm rotates open, trying to turn the body to the side. And then bringing the left arm back to the front. This time, right arm comes towards the back, rotating only as much as you can, it feels comfortable. And then bringing that arm back to the center. Beautiful, hands coming down to the ground. And then bringing that the right knee back. Options here, if you feel like it, take a vinyasa. So shifting forward through chaturanga into cobra or up dog, or hold in child's pose. Just noticing what does your body want right now. Maybe you want to hold in down dog, pedal it out. Beautiful, and then from here we're going to bring the left leg forward. So, same options, either from down dog, bringing the left leg between your hands, or if you want, knees coming down to the mat, lifting that left leg through. Checking in with the right leg. Maybe take a peek, just make sure that the leg is straight. See if you can press into all 5 toes, especially the big toe and the little toe. Maybe explore noticing how the more you press, that engages the muscles in the front thigh. Can you work to lift that knee up off the mat? Even if it doesn't come, my knee does not come off the mat when I'm doing that. And then when you're ready, walking your hands up to the left thigh. Pressing into the left foot, finding the balance once again between the big toe and the pinky toe side. Arms coming to the center. Beautiful. This time starting with the right arm rotates back. Notice, is it more challenging to do it with one leg in front versus the other? And then when you're ready, left arm rotates open. Coming back to center. Beautiful, hands coming down to the ground. Back toes, either curling under, stepping back to plank, taking a vinyasa, hold in down dog, hold in child's pose, take any other movement that your body wants right now. Beautiful. And then when you're ready, dance, jump, skip, walk, hop, your feet up to your hands, coming into forward fold. Bending into your knees, tailbone comes down to the ground, slowly push into your feet, rounding up, coming to stand. Shoulders rolling up and down and back, palms come to stand, face forward. Come to stand in Tadasana. Beautiful. Check in. Notice what's coming up for you. Not judging it, and whatever it is, blinking your eyes open. If they were closed, shake it out. Shake out your arms, shake out your legs. So from here, come to the center of your mat. Feet come to a comfortable distance apart. far enough apart that you can feel stable in it. Slight bend in your knees. Think about rotating the thighs outward, but press again into your big toe side of your foot. Notice how for many of us, as we rotate our thighs out, we lift up under the big toe. So re-press down into the big toe and see if you can feel the activation between the inner leg and the outer leg. Slight bend in your knees, drawing the abdominal muscles in. We're gonna come into a pose called helicopter. Now you get to make this as big and as active as you want. So knees bend, think of a lightness in the upper body. So we're just gonna start to rotate with the arms out. Rotating side to side. See, for me, I visualize my spine and see if I can rotate around that. So see if that helps. Maybe if you want, add a bend, and then as you're ready, start to let your arms come up a little bit higher. Maybe rotating more of your body, keeping the muscles engaged. I like to get a sway with it. Notice, do you want to go faster or slower? Lengthening up, rotating open. Find the weightlessness in the arms. See if you can have them be weightless and notice how that changes into the twist. I definitely like the bend because I feel like it gives me some momentum. Lengthening up. Neck can follow, neck can stay to the front, whatever feels most comfortable. If that's not comfortable on your arms, keep your arms at whatever level is comfortable for you. And then a couple more. If bending the knees doesn't feel good, maybe try rotating just the torso. Exploring and playing with this helicopter. You're like the helicopter blades. And then doing this for a count of 3 more. 2, 1. Beautiful. Arms coming down. Shake it out. Stepping to the front of your mat, coming down to a seat. So we're going to do some stuff on the back. If laying on your back is uncomfortable for any reason, you can do this seated. So instead of laying down, it's just going to be hugging into the chest this way. We're going to do some knee into the chest. So exploring if that feels good to you on the back or if sitting up feels better. So if you're coming down to your back, lying flat on your back, bringing the left knee into your chest. Right foot can be pressing into the ground, knee to the sky, or if you want, you can straighten that right leg out. Slight micro bend in the right knee just so that you can tap into the muscles. Notice how, if you bend the knee, can you actually anchor that heel and the hip down to the ground a little bit more? Can you find that muscle engagement? So then bringing the left knee into your chest, hands can grab behind the thigh, around the shin. And then just kind of start making some twisting motions. Twisting into the leg, twisting into the hip, maybe rotating the foot. If you're doing this seated, it's very similar. So it's just starting to twist and rotate into the hip. It takes more work to keep the back lifted. So just checking in, make sure you're not sinking down into it. So finding whatever variation works for you. And then bringing that left knee into the chest, maybe giving it one more squeeze. And then bringing the right leg into the chest, setting the left leg down on the ground and switching sides. So same options, maybe explore something else if this doesn't feel good, but left leg can straighten out. Slight bend in the left knee and see if that helps you to press into the heel, flexing the left foot. See if you can press the left heel and the left hip down. Drawing the right knee in, same thing, maybe try rotating your foot, seeing if you can twist your leg in that hip socket. Don't strain into it, definitely you don't want to do anything that's going to strain. Maybe rounding the leg out, making circles with the foot. Beautiful. And then bringing either both knees into your chest, rounding it out. Perfect. From here, bringing the arms either out to the side or straight out. If you're seated, hands down to the ground. And then letting both knees fall off to the left side. Coming into a spinal twist. Your left hand can come to that right thigh if you want, working to relax the right shoulder back towards the ground. So maybe explore moving in this twist. See if you can find a place that allows you to tap into some relaxation a little bit more. Maybe try moving that right leg around. See if there's something that can help you twist into it. If you're seated, coming up into the seat, working just to rotate the chest. Keeping the hips even, rotating the chest this time, maybe letting the knees knock off towards the opposite side. So rotating the chest towards the left, knees coming off to the right. Whichever variation you're doing, find that activation into the spine. So keeping the muscles engaged so as not to strain, so keep the low belly active. And then coming back to the center. If you're lying down, pressing into your feet, bringing your knees back up to the sky. Walk your feet to about 6 to 8 inches. Lift your hips, shake them out. If you're seated, shake out your spine. Maybe even if you're laying on the ground, do a little wiggle and jiggle. Perfect. So then from here, drawing the knees in towards the chest again if you're on the ground, and letting the knees fall off to the right side. Once again, maybe explore making some movement. See if you can find a way to come into this twist, drawing the belly in. Notice all the different areas that are impacted. Maybe shake your head no, noticing how twisting the neck can feel. Changes maybe the stretch in your chest or your shoulders. And then bringing your feet to the ground, knees coming back up to the sky. Feet come to about 6 to 8 inches apart. Lift your hips, shake them out. If you're seated, maybe get a little wiggle and jiggle in that spine, helping to shake it out. And then one more time, bringing your knees in towards your chest, just settling into your low back. And then making any final movements that your body wants before settling into Shavasana, or final resting pose. Final resting pose can look a lot of different ways. Maybe for you it's with your legs out, arms out, lying flat on the ground. If you have any discomfort or that doesn't feel good in your back, maybe try bending your knees and letting your knees knock in together and see if that can release some tension. If lying on your back is uncomfortable for any reason, maybe try seated Shavasana or try Shavasana in fetal position, so curled on the side. I'm going to do my Shavasana seated today. So before we come into Shavasana, make any last movements that your body feels like it wants. Mine wants some wiggles right now, so maybe wiggling your fingers. And then maybe checking in. Notice, what does your spine feel like? Maybe you're not sure. Totally fine. We're going to be in Shavasana for about a minute. So feel free to close your eyes if that's comfortable. If that's not comfortable, keeping your eyes open. Take a deep breath in if you do breath work, and as you exhale, let it go, settle in. twist and turn in life is an opportunity to learn something new about yourself, your interests, your talents, and how to set and then achieve goals. Jamila Jamil. Slowly start to bring some life and some movement back into your bodies. Maybe wiggling your fingers and your toes. Rolling out your wrists and your ankles. And then reaching your arms up overhead, coming into one last final full body stretch. Stretching into your right side, and then stretching into your left. And then if you're on your back, roll to whichever side is most comfortable for you and push yourself up, coming to a comfortable seat, facing your camera, or me. Legs can be crisscross applesauce, can be out to the sides. Find whatever comfortable seat works for you. And then flexing your right hand, bringing it into the chest in half prayer. Left hand is what I meant to say. All four fingers and thumb together. And then as dramatically as you want, give yourself a high five, hands coming into prayer. Thank your amazing body for the wonderful work that it does for you today and every day. If it's comfortable, bring the base of your thumbs up to that point between your two eyes to your third eye, and thank your amazing mind for letting you explore the benefits of twisting, or whatever felt good to you today. Hands coming back to heart center, and then if it's comfortable, bowing down. The light and dark in me sees and honors the light and dark in all of you. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Beautiful job. Let me know what you thought. Let me know how that felt. And then if you like these videos, definitely subscribe, share, and let me know what you think. Hope you have a good day. Bye.